Yo guys, what's going on? My name's Ryan, welcome back to a brand new video on Hijomeatman News, and today we started a brand new series on the channel. So every Sunday we'll be doing a top 5 or a top 10, and we're basically going to take it in turns. So I'm going to do one week, James is going to do the next, so on, so forth. And today we're going to start off this brand new series with a top 5 tracks the MotoGP should return to, and we're going to start off with number 5. These are in no particular order, and number 5 is Laguna Seca in America, the 2.238 mile, 180 feet, that's 55 meters elevation change. It's just an incredible circuit. So the name, obviously, Laguna Seca is Spanish for dry lake. It was a lake and then it obviously dried up, hence the name Dry Lake, and then they built over it and put 2 artificial ponds in there. Now Laguna Seca is obviously famous for the corkscrew, where we've had many battles between Valentino Rossi and Casey Stoner, Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. Obviously Marc Marquez kind of recreating the classic famous move with Casey Stoner and Valentino Rossi way back in 2008. Now obviously it left the calendar at the end of 2013 for Austin, Texas, which is not the greatest motorcycle circuit ever. It is kind of made for Formula 1 more, so to have it back there in Laguna Seca would be amazing, because obviously it had the MotoGP races from 1998 where Eddie Lawson won on the Marlboro Yamaha, right up until 2013 where Marc Marquez won in his rookie season. Now the most successful rider at that track is Wayne Rainey with 3 wins in 1989 to 1991. And it would just be great to have Laguna Seca back in the MotoGP class. Now, obviously, way back when it was in the championship, they only had MotoGP there. They didn't have Moto2 or Moto3 because it cost too much money to get it over the pond into America. And it would be nice if we had Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP all taking part throughout the weekend there, and not just having the MotoGP, so we get more on-track action at such a great circuit. Right, moving on to number 4, and this is for Kisa in South Africa. Obviously, it held MotoGP races from 1999 to 2004. The most successful rider actually there is Valentino Rossi, 3 wins. Obviously, he won the 2004 Grand Prix, the final ever race to be held at Fakisa, and that was obviously his first win with Yamaha after he left the Repsol Honda team in 2003. And talking of Honda, they are the most successful manufacturer, with the likes of Ducati rider Andrea Dovizioso winning the 125 race in 2004, and then also the current Repsol Honda rider Dani Pedrosa winning the 250 race in that same year, 2004. Now with the success of Brad Binder in Moto3, and also his rookie season in Moto2 being incredible once he got back from injury, and also then his brother Darren Binder, who signed the contract for the Red Bull team in Moto3, it'll be good for the fans to watch their home riders go round the home circuit in South Africa and just fight for victories there. And also it would just be good in general for MotoGP to return to the southernmost tip of the African continent. Now we move on to number 3, and that is Donington Park. Donington Park was the home of the British Grand Prix in 1987 right up until 2009, and in them years we've had Dovizioso get his first Premier Class win in the Repsol Honda in 2009. We had Scott Redding in 125 become the youngest winner, aged just 15 years and 170 days. That was in 2008, and also some many more key moments. Obviously James Toseland, the home man, crashing at the first corner on the first lap. I remember that very well, stood on the banks of Carina Curves. But yeah, obviously Donington Park is a great track with many challenging corners. It's got the downhill right-left to Carina Curves, the tricky foggy S's at the end of the straight, and then also the heavy braking slow right-hander of the Melbourne Loop, which all of them could kind of create an incredible race with many overtaking points, many challenging corners, and this track just has everything to make yet another great Grand Prix. But unfortunately, in the end of 2009 going into 2010, Formula 1 tried to make a return to the iconic British track, but unfortunately the man in charge of developing the whole circuit, who was in charge of making the Welsh circuit, the Circuit of Wales, he went bankrupt and basically left Donington in horrific state. He ripped up all the tarmac, he ripped up all the banks, and he literally just left it in a pile of just rubbish. So they had to kind of rebuild that and get Donington back up to what it was before the 2010 Formula 1 little bid that happened. But since then, obviously MotoGP had to then find another track, and that was held at what was branded boring by Cal Crutchlow, the Silverstone circuit, where it has held many great races, but I just feel Donington Park would be so much better, not just because it's close to where I live, it's just because the track overall for me is just much better. Now recently, MSVR Motorsport Vision Racing, the father of Jolyon Palmer, who did run in F1 before he got fired, he's taken over Donington Park, and there is a goal to get the MotoGP Championship back to that circuit, and he is doing everything he can to try and improve the circuit. He's adding new pit lane, I believe. He's adding new paddock, the tarmac in all the paddocks, so there's no holes in there anymore. He's improving toilet blocks. He's doing everything he can to get Donington Park back on the MotoGP calendar, and there is a chance that soon that might happen. But yeah, number 3, Donington Park. Would love to see that brilliant circuit back with the brilliant bikes going around it, and hopefully one day it will come true. Now moving on to number 2, and this is Estoril in Portugal. It's been part of the MotoGP calendar from making its debut in 2000, where Gary McCoy took the win, right up until its final race in 2012, where yet another Australian took the win. This time though, it was the current Ducati test rider, Casey Stoner. Now obviously we look at the Portuguese Grand Prix and the Portuguese riders. Miguel Oliveira doing exceptionally well in Moto2. High chance that he could be joining the MotoGP grid in 2019 on the KTM, and it would just be great to have the Portuguese Grand Prix in general back on the calendar, especially if Miguel does go into MotoGP and does very well on that KTM. Now, Estoril, it's a track with many challenging aspects, let's be honest. It's got sharp changes of direction with the uphill chicane. It's got very long, fast corners, like the final corner, and it's also got some hairpins that could cause havoc on the opening laps, especially in Moto3 or Moto2. And then you look at it as well, it's been home of many dramatic moments, when Pedrosa wiped out Nicky Hayden in 2006, and in the same year as well, Tony Elias beating Valentino Rossi by just 0.02 of a second. And then also the hectic battle in Moto2 between the 4-time champion in MotoGP, that is Marc Marquez, and then also current KTM rider Pol Espargaro, where Pol went for a big dive bomb up the inside at the chicane and went wide and gave Marc Marquez that win. Estoril just has what it takes to create some more incredible racing throughout all 3 classes. Now moving on to the final one, number 1, and that is Shanghai in China. Now finally we look at Shanghai, a track which held the Chinese Grand Prix for a very short period of time, from 2005 until 2008. The short lifespan of the Chinese Grand Prix has seen many breathtaking races, with the battle between 9-time world champion Valentino Rossi and also the 2-time champion Casey Stoner. Obviously very long battle in that 2007 Chinese Grand Prix, where eventually Valentino Rossi made a move up the inside at the hairpin and went off the circuit, and Casey Stoner won that race. Now the 3.38 mile long circuit of Shanghai, 16 corners, and very much like Estoril, they all have their own unique style. We have fast flowing corners. We have the long right-hander, which then turns to the left at turn 1 and turn 2, which could create some interesting overtaking. And then also the very long straight leading into the very slow tight hairpin, which could cause some great action, especially in the Moto3 class. So there we go. That is it for today. If you guys have enjoyed the video, make sure you smash a like and hit subscribe. Let us know down in the comments your thoughts on the tracks. If there's any tracks that you would like to see back that aren't in this top 5, leave them down in the comments. We will see you guys next time for a brand new video. So until then, thank you for watching and goodbye.